Okay, let's talk about hydrogen water. Is it the biggest health hack of the decade, or is it just the most expensive water you will ever buy? You've probably seen them online. Those futuristic bottles promising everything from glowing skin to supercharged workouts. But what's actually real, and what's just clever marketing? Well, today, we're going to get to the bottom of it.
Here's how we're going to break it all down. First up, we'll unpack the massive hype. Then we'll dig into the science of how it's all supposed to work. After that, we'll see what happens when that hype slams into reality. We'll also give you a quick guide to the gadgets out there and wrap up with some crucial buyer beware tips. Let's dive in. So let's kick things off with the hype. I mean, why is everyone suddenly talking about this? It really all comes down to some absolutely massive promises that the companies selling these things are making. I mean, just look at this. This is a direct quote from a popular brand called Tyant. Feel the energizing effects day one. Wow, right? That is not some subtle suggestion. That is a bold, in-your-face promise of immediate results. And it's exactly this kind of marketing that's grabbed so many people's attention. And it's not just about energy. Not by a long shot. The list of claims is almost hard to believe. They're talking powerful antioxidant effects, better hydration, faster recovery after a workout, less inflammation, even a sharper memory and focus. I mean, it's pretty much pitched as the ultimate upgrade to the water you're already drinking every single day. So, how on earth is this all supposed to work? What's the science that backs up these incredible claims? How can adding a little extra hydrogen to water supposedly do all this? Let's take a closer look. Okay, so the entire premise is built on fighting this one main villain, oxidative stress. The easiest way to think about it is like biological rust. It happens when there's an imbalance in our bodies between these unstable molecules called free radicals and the antioxidants that fight them. Over time, this can damage our cells and our DNA. This is the big problem that hydrogen water claims to solve. And if oxidative stress is the villain, then molecular hydrogen, or H2, is the hero of the story. Its superpower, it's the smallest molecule in the entire universe. Proponents claim that because it's so incredibly tiny, it can slip right inside our cells and act as a selective antioxidant. And that's key. The idea is that it only neutralizes the most harmful free radicals, leaving the good ones to do their jobs. So how do they actually get this hydrogen into the water? Well, the best bottles use something called SPE/PEM technology. You can just think of it as a really smart filter. It uses electrolysis to split water into hydrogen and oxygen, but then it uses a special membrane to make sure only pure hydrogen gets infused into the water you drink. This is super important because it avoids creating nasty byproducts like ozone or chlorine. All right, so we've got the promises and we've got the proposed science. But this is where it starts to get a little complicated. Let's take a look at what happens when all that hype meets the cold, hard reality of scientific research. This is the million-dollar question, isn't it? You can find thousands of user reviews online from people swearing this stuff changed their lives. But what does the formal peer-reviewed research say? Does the data actually support these incredible claims? The whole debate really boils down to two opposing camps. On one side, you have the promise, right? The idea that it can tangibly reduce muscle fatigue and boost power, especially for athletes. But on the other side, you've got the skeptics, who argue that any benefits people are feeling are probably just the placebo effect, not the hydrogen at all. Now this right here, this is probably the single strongest piece of evidence for hydrogen water. It's from a 2025 study, and it's what's known as the gold standard of research. Randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled. They took 22 elite female athletes, and the results were, frankly, pretty shocking. The group drinking the hydrogen water saw statistically significant improvements across the board. That's science speak for, this probably wasn't a fluke. We're talking more muscle, more power, less body fat, and less muscle damage. That is a really big deal. But hold on, because the skeptics have some really strong counterarguments. An analysis from Cybernews points out a few things. First, the actual amount of hydrogen infused in the water is tiny, measured in parts per billion, and it might just be too small to have a noticeable biological effect. Second, hydrogen is terrible at dissolving in water, so most of it could just be escaping as bubbles before you even drink it. And all those glowing reviews? Well, that could just be the placebo effect. Or, my favorite explanation, the gamification of hydration. You get a cool gadget, so you just end up drinking more water. And guess what? Drinking more water generally makes you feel better. So, yeah, the scientific jury is definitely still out on this one. But let's say you're still curious and you want to give it a try. Well, navigating the market can be really, really tricky. So let's break down what you should actually be looking for. Here's just a quick snapshot of what's out there. As you can see, prices are all over the place, from under $80 to almost $250. And look at this difference in the claimed hydrogen concentration. It goes from 1,600 parts per billion all the way up to 4,500. Some brands are clearly competing on price, while others, like Purify, are trying to stand out with things like a lifetime warranty. Okay, now this is a crucial point that a lot of people miss. The actual material of the bottle matters a lot. Glass might seem more premium, right? But it actually has a huge disadvantage. It often can't handle the high pressure needed to infuse a high concentration of hydrogen into the water. In contrast, durable, BPA-free plastics are specifically engineered to handle that pressure, which can lead to a more potent and, theoretically, a more effective drink. And that leads us perfectly into our last section, and it might be the most important one, the fine print. These are the critical, practical details that you absolutely need to know before you spend your money and take that first sip. First things first, maintenance is not optional. To keep these bottles working properly and to keep your water from tasting weird, you have to deep clean them regularly. This removes mineral buildup on the little electrode plate at the bottom. It's easy though, just a simple mix of white vinegar or citric acid and water, let it soak for an hour, give it a gentle scrub, and then rinse it out really well. Okay, everyone, listen up because this is a major safety warning. Some of these bottles have a self-clean feature. You have to be extremely careful. On some models, that cycle is designed to kill germs by creating things like ozone, and the water it produces is absolutely not safe to drink. You have to run the cycle and then dump the water out. So please, please read your manual carefully. And here's another key detail. This is not something you can make in the morning and drink in the afternoon. Once that hydrogen gas is generated, it immediately starts escaping from the water. It's like opening a can of soda. The fizz doesn't last forever. You really only have a short window, maybe 15 to 30 minutes, to drink it if you want to get the maximum potential benefit. So if you are thinking of buying one, here is your consumer checklist. First, does it use that SPE/PEM technology for pure hydrogen? Is it made from durable BPA-free materials? Does it claim to achieve a concentration of at least 1,200 parts per billion? Can the brand show you any third-party testing to back up its claims? And finally, what's the warranty like, and is it easy to clean? Ticking these boxes will help you make a much smarter choice. Which brings us right back to where we started. Is hydrogen water a game-changing health breakthrough, or is it just really expensive bubbles? Well, the early science is definitely promising, but it is far from settled. For now, it's a fascinating example of where wellness trends, savvy marketing, and cutting-edge science all collide. What do you think?